It's 6:09. This is Five Live Breakfast. Now, the Conservatives are, so far anyway, laughing off a growing internet campaign that's taking the mick out of their election posters and has led to some being defaced. The billboards feature an apparently airbrushed David Cameron saying, quotes, "We can't go on like this. I'll cut the deficit, not the NHS." You might have seen one. But a website's offering readers the chance to design their own Conservative poster using the same template. And it's become very, very popular. Our political reporter Chris Mason is here, can tell us a bit more. The original poster, it was mocked a bit in the press, wasn't it? Because David Cameron's photo is so perfect. It's serious Photoshop going on.
Yeah.
But what's happened to it, both physically, the real posters, and on this website?
Well, there's around 1,000 of the real posters that have popped up across the country. As you say, you may have seen them. They're in the big cities like Edinburgh, Leeds, Cardiff, London, Plymouth. Also popped up in marginal seats as well, like Solihull in the West Midlands and Tynemouth in the northeast of England. Now, as I say, there's these 1,000 sites, and when it first up, there was lots of mickey taking about David Cameron's airbrushing, but since then, a really growing online campaign of people doctoring the posters, putting their own slogans on, dressing up David Cameron, and that's led to some of the posters themselves being defaced.
And is it kind of sort of soft mockery, or has there been some sort of serious hardline political mockery going on?
It's intriguing. There's both. There is both. I mean, plenty of the examples are not even close to being broadcastable, it's fair to say. Others pick up particular strands, particular criticisms that are often levelled at David Cameron. So we'll pick up on his background, for instance, pick up on his apparent closeness politically to Tony Blair.
A few top hats thrown in, were
exactly.
there?
There are a few top hats in there, and references to where he went to school and that kind of thing. Others try and pick up pithy phrases that I guess those who've written them hope might stick. So a couple of examples, for instance, of the pithy, droll, alternative sound bites offered. Tough on crime, tough on the causes of crime, perhaps inevitable.
He'll be tired of that by now.
I suspect he will, yes. Are we Blair yet is another one. Others have dressed Mr Cameron up. One features him wearing a top hat, correctly guessed. And the question Eton, spelt perhaps predictably E-T-O-N, with the answer, yes, I had a scone for 11s. Another he's there as a Dalek saying exterminate, exterminate. And in another he's Elvis, complete with the ludicrous sideburns, saying we can't go on like this with suspicious minds, which
maybe it's the way to go.
Well, yeah, picks up the lyrics from from Elvis's song from 1969, and that online idea ended up being added to the poster in Hereford. So someone went up a ladder, added it to that poster, and that poster has now been taken down.
And who's behind this?
Well, all of this is the idea of a guy called Clifford Singer. He's a graphic designer. He's not a member of any political party, but he is on the left. And he's set up a website called MyDavidCameron.com. He put up a blank template of the Conservative advert, and since then he's had nearly 250,000 hits just in the last couple of weeks, 1,200 suggestions in terms of spoofs for adverts. But he says the site's not just meant as a sideswipe at the Tories.
There's also a comment on political advertising in general, and as the advertising becomes slicker and marketing takes over any kind of political discourse, that suddenly people start to reject this, and in a sense this is like a chance for ordinary people to say what they think of this very slick marketing-led politics.
Now, perhaps ominously for the Prime Minister, Clifford has also bought another web address, mygordonbrown.com.
Yes.
So as and when there's a Labour campaign poster, he could have come in for some mickey taking too.
So, these apparently harmless things can be very important, can't they, in terms of how the politicians respond to them? So how have the Conservatives responded?
It's intriguing, isn't it? It's almost the cyber version of spitting image, really. If people can tap into a strand of mickey taking that sticks and has a mass audience, then it could be potentially quite dangerous for a political party involved in this. The Conservatives are trying to see the funny side of it. I suppose that's the only really credible political response. And they say, look, there's an important message in their posters about the deficit and the health service. They say they didn't seem particularly keen on my idea of perhaps putting their posters just that little bit higher, out of reach of a sharp wit and a tall ladder. They say they'll stick with what they're doing. They'll continue with this campaign. There's a sense, though, from all of the parties, I think, that the coming election campaign is going to be the first where the internet will be really, really powerful, and they're going to have to be aware of that and build that into their campaigning strategies. Tim Montgomery is from the Tory grassroots blog conservativehome.com. He says he admires what this campaign has pulled off.
It's very funny. I love some of the lines there. Don't agree with them, but rather than just have a couple of people locked in a room writing stuff in Westminster or in some creative ad agency, you have thousands of people coming up with clever ideas to put on a Cameron poster. And it's that unleashing decentralisation of creativity which makes the internet so powerful.
And he reckons that being witty and pithy is the key to making these kind of things work online, so politicians beware the mass Mickey taking online could really start kicking in, I guess.
Witty and pithy and the hide of a rhino, I would say. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Chris Mason, our political reporter. This is 5 Live Breakfast. It's 6:15.
Across the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
5 Live Breakfast.